Hello and welcome to the 56th episode of Growing Up Geek, the weekly podcast for geek entertainment and nostalgia. My name is Brad, and I am joined by fellow geek, my brother Rob.
Hello.
I should say happy early birthday to you.
Yes, getting very near. It's this Saturday.
How old of a man shall you be?
I will be the 26th year.
Or you will be beginning your 27th year.
Is that how it works?
That's how it works. That's why they say Feliz Cumpleaños, otherwise known as Happy Completed Years in Spanish.
Ah, that is true. That is true.
They're more accurate.
So I will have completed 26 years.
Yes, you will. And I am recording this podcast in a giant blue robe.
Hey.
2009, I just want to say up front, it's all about robe living.
I can see that.
Yeah, Amber bought matching robes for us, and I think that's pretty much the rest of my life. It's going to be spent in a robe. I decided that clothes are inconvenient, and
so that's how that happens. That's how, dads always just end up wearing robes.
Pretty much. We watched that Christmas video where Dad had that massive hole in his robe on the side. But anyway, robe living, 2009. That's my prediction.
Great. You heard it here first, Forget Vera Wang. Forget all that stuff. It's time for robes to come back.
That's right. I wanted to say something real quick. A lot of people heard our top games of '08 list last week, and some people might be wondering, what about our top movies? Especially with the Golden Globes ending the other day. I don't know if you heard. They picked Slumdog Millionaire as their best film.
Yeah.
That is coming. We're going to record a best movies episode, but we're going to do it around when the Oscars do it, and the reason for that is we haven't had a chance to see Slumdog Millionaire or The Wrestler or a lot of other big indies, and we want to do that on DVD, have a chance to really give you our full list. But look for that.
Indeed.
So we're going to get into our main topic right away this week. We normally do a news segment, but this week the topic is news. We're going to talk about the Consumer Electronics Show, or otherwise known as CES.
CES 09.
That is correct. It was held in Las Vegas this week, and it's pretty much the biggest electronics show. They trot out all the nerdy stuff. This is where the term gadget lust comes into play, because it's things we can't afford.
Exactly.
I want to say that there was at least one big announcement this year that everybody's talking about. We're going to save that for the end, but we're going to go back and forth. Let's go through the little stuff first. What impressed you?
Well, I think, a lot of the interesting stuff that I saw, being presented on the floor, I wasn't there, but
of course,
via a lot of the coverage that I've been keeping up on, are products that are kind of like ideas we've had that are finally coming to fruition and will be soon to be released into the mass market, which is great.
Right.
So, first on the list, kind of something that harkens back to childhood memories, flat top, no face, big boy. Of course, you know what I'm talking about. It's Dick Tracy. And
Dick Tracy. Oh, yeah. I know where you're going.
His watch phone.
Yes.
He had a watch walkie-talkie or a watch communicator. But the truth is that there is now a working, marketable watch phone.
Yeah.
It's not yet being sold, but LG demonstrated this at CES.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, it's a cool idea, and I don't know if it'll work very well. It might require a lot of Bluetoothing and stuff like that. But I think every once in a while, I've just looked at my own plain wristwatch and wondered, what if I got a text message on here?
Yeah.
Or, what if I could get, weather?
Yeah. Do you think you need a headset? I didn't actually watch this demo. Is there would you probably wear a headset with this and then just kind of answer the call on your watch, or would you talk it into the watch?
Well, by default, it's speakerphoning, It's all
which makes you look like Dick Tracy, just talking into it.
Exactly. And if you're comfortable with that, if you're comfortable with the lack of privacy, then go ahead. I don't see any reason why a 3G-enabled phone thing wouldn't have Bluetooth these days.
Oh, of course. The
only thing I would advise, looking at it, is a Bluetooth headset bay or something, a place to attach it. So you're not digging through your pocket for it.
Yeah. I already think that people with Bluetooth headsets look crazy. I don't know about you. So answering your watch and talking into it, just as crazy.
Absolutely. I had a guy in the store the other day who he was just talking out loud into the air, and I realized, I wasn't sure if he really was on the phone, because the earbuds he had in, or I was almost certain that they were iPod earbuds.
Yeah, he may have been crazy.
So I'm so that guy's just basically just having a conversation with his iPod.
Yeah, that's a hardcore Apple fan when you talk to your iPod.
Exactly.
So that sounds pretty cool. LG's watch phone.
Exactly. We'll be doing the Dick Tracy reenactments any moment now. But
Yeah.
So that was one of my faves. With all these stories going on, what caught your eye?
The first thing I'm going to mention is the Windows 7 beta.
Oh yeah.
Microsoft during the show had a demo booth of Windows 7, which if you've listened to this show, you know we talked about that in a preview episode a while ago. Well, now I and everybody else can try it. They started with a limited number of downloads on their website for the beta, but then demand crashed the site. So now, no limit.
Yeah.
They took the limit off, and basically, supposedly, it's a fairly stable beta. And you can go and download this. I would say do it at your own risk. It is a beta, and to be safe, you may want to even dual boot, because there's a pretty dramatic change in the taskbar, which I'm actually excited about, and we talked about that. That icons are basically used for shortcuts and for tabs. So you no longer have individual tabs on the bar. You have all these big icons. And that could be kind of scary to people at first. So if you're going to do this, I would recommend read up, watch some YouTube videos. But, you know, hey, it can't hurt to give it a shot. A lot of people are already saying the beta of 7 is better than the full version of Vista. So, are you tempted by this? I just wanted to get your thoughts.
Well, definitely. I am tempted by it, but not to the point where I've tried it yet. You know, it might be worthwhile, because I really don't use my Vista computer that much, except for Rhapsody.
Right.
If Rhapsody is supported on there. I heard there were some MP3 issues early on, but those have since been patched. Yeah. I find it kind of funny how a lot of people, when they show screenshots, have moved the start menu and taskbar to the top of the screen to just
weird.
kind of make it more of an Apple look. And I'm like, nah, that...
Yeah.
Apple does that, but it's really just a preferential thing, and I'd rather have all my icons and programs at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, this is the evolution of something that Microsoft introduced a while ago.
Yeah.
You know, I think the taskbar is a very good idea. I'm nervous about them changing it, but I'm also excited if it works out well. So that is Windows 7 Beta. It's available now. Check it out. And if you do use it and you listen to this show, send us an email, mail@growing-up-geek.com. I know I said that kind of fast. Slow it down later and you'll get it. And let us know how stable or unstable it is. I'd love to hear that.
All right.
Back to you.
Back to me. Another story. This is another thing coming to fruition.
Okay.
That I really like. Samsung at the show showed off a brand new non-prototype projector phone.
Whoa! Like holograms of your friends?
Exactly. Not at all.
Okay, yes, but not.
What this is a smartphone, but on the end of it, at the top of it, it is equipped with a micro projector, which you can point at any surface and project onto it video.
Oh, okay, so you could actually project like a movie, like watch a movie, and instead of using the tiny screen, project it like on the back of your chair.
Exactly.
Or wall or oh, I love it.
Exactly. We've talked about this concept before, but I've never really seen a working product, and this is a DLP projector.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, and it looks really impressive. Like the guys in the video when you're watching them do it are giddy, like about because the guy's just like, so here it is, and okay, so you have a 5 megapixel camera, blah blah blah.
Right.
At the top here is a projector, and he's like, I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna select a video, and then he points it at his shirt, and then on his shirt there's a movie playing. It's like Fox News is going on.
Right.
And I think I've heard rumor that this actually does pick up mobile TV signals, but that's kind of Korean stuff. Like it's not regular TV things. So right now, that's the sad part is that this isn't going to be out in America anytime soon. It's one of those. Yeah, Korean, Japanese phones for now. But
well, you know, as a HD early adopter, you'll take whatever you can get when you adopt a new format. You know, so if I have to watch Korean people on the wall, or on my shirt, or on a friend's shirt, that would still be fine. I don't know. Just having that sounds awesome. This is what I meant by gadget lust before. It's like I could never afford these things, but dang, that's awesome.
Yeah, not to mention the type of battery life this thing probably drains.
Yeah, it probably sucks battery like crazy.
And I'm not sure about like dropping it and having the bulb inside break or whatever it uses, but yeah.
Yeah, speaking of projectors, real quick, this reminds me of a story when we were watching the Oscars at Matt's. I don't know if you remember this.
Yeah.
Matt had a big projector, and it was like a 100-inch screen. It was mounted on the wall, but all of a sudden Billy Crystal starts like leaning down towards me, and I couldn't quite get what was happening, and then your foot shoots up and catches his projection screen as it's about to hit the floor. I just remember like your reflexes. It was like President Bush dodging that shoe. It was like,
right,
because I had no idea what I was seeing. I was like, why is he leaning? Like my mind couldn't process it.
Yeah.
And anyway, projectors, they're pretty awesome. That sounds fun. So how many 3D movies have you seen?
Well, I could probably count them on my hands. I would say about 8. I saw Captain EO and Honey, I Blew Up the Audience, or Shrunk the Audience.
So it's come a long way since Captain EO. Spy Kids, Beowulf, My Bloody Valentine is being advertised right now.
Yeah, that's the newest one.
Yeah, and they're even experimenting with Star Wars. You've probably heard about this. Trying to go back and sort of reverse engineer it, make it 3D.
Yeah, I saw that with I did see The Nightmare Before Christmas when it was re-engineered into 3D.
How was it?
It was good. I was actually like a little caught up, like watching like every corner and stuff to see if there's any problems with the draw-in and like how it was created.
Right.
But Pixar, I guess, was part of that project, and they did a really good job of making this thing that was originally done with stop motion come forth into 3D without it losing any of its integrity, you know.
Right. So the reason I ask that is because, in case people haven't noticed, there's a lot more 3D movies in the theater these days and IMAX and things. But obviously, when you bring Beowulf home, you know, I kind of wished it would have been 3D. Well, this year at CES, literally every major television manufacturer was showing off 3D TV.
Wow.
So Sony, Samsung, LG, Panasonic, Mitsubishi, all of them had a 3D television to show off. And basically, you have anaglyph glasses, special glasses that you wear to see the effect. And it's either red-blue, which I've heard actually works pretty good, and it's a far cry from what they had in the 50s, you know, the paper ones. Or it's like polarized lenses. Anyway, you have to wear these glasses to see it. And there's even like, you know, 3D gaming that could be done with this, which is, curious.
Yeah.
But what I was reading, people were saying it was pretty impressive. Some people who said they got a little bit of a headache using it, and some people who were saying, you know, the effect was a little bit flat.
Yeah.
But it's something that these manufacturers are apparently pushing towards. And one of the CEOs actually said this is the, quote, next big thing. He was anticipating like 2 years from now, this is going to be what's in your home. So that sounds a little bold. I wanted to ask you, chances of this really taking off? What do you think?
50-50.
You can see both sides.
It's like the Virtual Boy. At first you're like, oh, it's a great idea, I'll use that all the time. And then you realize, man, I need some aspirin. Like,
there's anal leakage.
Yeah, 3D as a special effect is fun for like an hour or so, but I can't see you like wanting to live in that, like with constant 3D images jumping out of you and messing with your senses, you know.
And as a person who wears glasses, you know, of course, I'd have to wear glasses over top of my glasses. That right away creates an issue. So I think that this is not going to take off. I don't know. I hate to doomsay it out of the gate, but it's like, yeah, like you said, extended viewing with glasses on, that's just going to give people a headache.
Right. Now, how does the screen look with the glasses off? Because if it's just an option, then maybe it'll...
Yeah, I think it does have like a subtle effect, much more subtle than it used to be. Obviously, it's something that I haven't seen in person, but this technology is being pimped this year at CES, so who knows? Like you said, you know, past childhood fantasy, 3D video games.
Yeah, I mean, I remember always seeing that, say, a Master System commercial where the kid puts on the glasses, 3D glasses to play that Gangster Hunter game.
Oh, yeah, dude.
And the missile flies past his head, and he, like, turns to the side to shoot it, which clearly wouldn't work in any 3D technology short of holograms.
Well, we're still waiting for those.
It's still something like, yeah, we're waiting for that. We want that. We want what the commercials in the 80s promised us.
And you know someday somebody's going to do it. They're going to be like, blam, hologram, CES 2012 or whatever. But that's not what we're talking about this week. I'm going to jump to you. What else impressed you before we get to our big reveal?
Well, this last story for me kind of holds a special place in my heart. I don't think this was covered at CES, but this actually took place simultaneously at the Detroit Auto Show.
Oh, yeah.
Toyota unveiled the new Prius.
Oh, right. Yeah, you have a Prius. I've talked up your car before. The awesome voice activated GPS and all that.
So, I mean, this thing has been the same basic shape and model, I think, since 2004. So finally, they've revamped the design. The current one I have has one screen that does GPS. There are several screens all throughout this thing, kind of hidden.
Sounds high-tech. Is this any less boxy than the current design? Because I saw an Acura commercial during the Steeler game the other day, and it just, comes flying out of this shattering bottle. There's like a bullet flying into a bottle, and then it's like this boxy car drives out, and I just, as a designer, I get so frustrated with these box cars driving around on the roads here. It's like, European cars have such smooth design. Is this any better than that?
Oh, well, I mean, it still has that same sort of design that is markedly a Prius, but it looks like a Prius inside a wind tunnel being blown back, like
Okay. Aerodynamic.
Exactly. Yeah. A little more Flight of the Navigator. But yeah, supposedly this thing can get 50 miles to the gallon in mixed driving situations, using its hybrid synergy drive. And the sunroof actually has a solar panel on it.
Cool.
So yeah, I'm excited about it. It looks sweet. Check it out. And I guess now we're ready to talk about the big reveal at CES.
The big one. If you take nothing else from this year's CES, this is certainly the biggest one, the best of show. The Palm Pre.
Palm Pre.
Palm Pre, spelled P-R-E. This is Palm's next smartphone.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of talk about iPhone killers. Every new phone that they put out that's like, the poor man's iPhone, such as like the LG Dare, which we've talked about before. People will review them and say, is this the iPhone killer? Is that the iPhone killer? And, most of the time it's like, well, it's the closest thing we've come yet. But it's never quite touching it. The excitement after Palm debuted this at this year's CES was pretty intense. A lot of websites were saying that they felt the same way that they felt after the iPhone was debuted. So let's get right into it. First of all, tech specs. Palm Pre has a 3-inch screen. High res with multi-touch and an accelerometer, so it sort of takes for granted all the great things about the iPhone. It's kind of curvy, sort of like a rounded, black, glassy kind of design. A little more bulky than the iPhone. It's got a slide-out keypad that comes out the bottom, and it's going to have 8 gigs of internal storage, a 3-megapixel camera, which is awesome, and it's got a little area.
Which is that's the big revolution.
no.
Area.
I was gonna talk about the interface, but before I do that, let me just say that that's messed up. It's got a tiny area. What does that mean? Okay, show's out of control. This was, I thought, one of the coolest as far as hardware that you get. There is a accessory called the Touchstone. Have you seen this?
No.
It's a hockey puck looking designed thing.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Our description is making no sense. It's a little wireless charging station.
Wireless charging.
You basically put the phone on it. No wires. You just put the phone on it. It charges your phone. That's cool. I mean, you got to admit, that's really cool.
How does that work and why?
Exactly. I think a lot of this year is like, how does that work? I don't know. So that's the hardware side. As far as the interface goes, there's a gesture area underneath the screen. That's sort of like a slide your thumb back and forth kind of thing.
Right.
And there's a button in the middle of that you can press. And like I said, it's got a QWERTY keypad that slides out. So nice.
Wait. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It has the slide out QWERTY. But the gesture area. That's kind of the big news. Well, for me, I was looking at it. I don't know if that button in the middle you actually push or if that's just indicating the gesture area.
No, that button is pressable in the center.
Oh, yeah?
You can move your thumb back and forth over that gesture area. It actually has LED lights, too, that show when your thumb is sliding across it, which is pretty sweet. So the design of this thing is really good. A lot of people are saying this is going to give the iPhone a run for its money for realsies. So let's talk about the OS. The big thing about this is WebOS. That's what they call it. And this is the part that is always behind the iPhone. On any device that you use, the OS just is lacking. People try to copy the iPhone, but they don't quite do it all the way.
Yeah.
So the WebOS is extremely slick. You basically flick up on the screen to open a launcher, which if people have used Palm before, they'll know the launcher. It's where all your applications are. You press one of those, and then I love this idea. It has true multitasking. So I know I sound like an ad here, but I'm trying to describe it as best as I can. It's radio theater. Basically, on the iPhone, you close and reopen apps.
Right.
You don't really switch between apps. You open the thing, you close it. You open the other thing, you close it. On this, basically, any application that you launch, it comes up as like a card, like a deck of cards, and any active apps that are open, you can shuffle between them just like a deck of cards with your thumb back and forth. So nothing ever really closes unless you want it to, and you can do that just by flicking the card up and it disappears. Love that. That sounds super sweet. So you'd have your calendar app, you flip over to your address book, you flip over to your maps that you got. It's like tabs, essentially, which everybody's used to, tabbed browsing.
Yeah, a lot of people have compared it to the slider interface on the old Xbox, like before the new Xbox thing appeared, where you're just kind of like sliding back and forth. And I like how they said that. They're like, we're not using a Windows interface because that's kind of like a bunch of stuff scattered on the desktop. We're like, this is like a deck of cards. You shuffle through them left to right, and then if you want to close one, you just flick it up off the screen. Which is really cool. Right. It's like you're tossing a card away. And
somebody's phone's ringing.
Yeah, sorry, that's mine. I think that's Mom. So, Mom, we'll call you after the show's done.
Speaking of phones,
yeah,
they interrupt your life, and that's something I guess I could mention. We'll use Mom as a segue. Thank you, Mom. I feel like that's happened before that Mom has called on this podcast. I don't know. It's a timing thing, but it will, when somebody calls, it will bring up a tiny bubble at the bottom of the screen, which you can kind of flick up if you're interested or ignore it.
Yeah,
it's unintrusive.
Yeah.
Love that.
I saw that. That was really cool. I mean, it's actually really tiny, but it's such a high-res screen that it works. He was just like, I'm going in here, and I'm putting in a memo, and then it's like, and then, hey, my friend appears here, and it just goes, like, right at the bottom. It's not like the iPhone, like, you've even seen it in the commercial, where, like, he's using, it's like, what if I wanted to find sushi? Blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden it goes, and the whole screen just, like, collapses with, like, this person is calling you. You better answer it now or decline it now.
Right.
And he's just like...
And, I mean, I'm not...
This was, him. He's just like, okay, so I can see what he's saying at the bottom, and once he says something interesting, I can go down there, hit it, be like, text it in, and then go back to what I was doing before. And it's like, that's great. That is the whole, like, multitasking thing that they're getting above it. And I guess, like...
Right.
I do really like this phone.
So we basically have, obviously we're pimping this thing out, and we haven't even touched it, so I don't want to get too crazy, because there are some downsides. Really, the only big one so far, and that'll give you an idea of how impressive this is the price point is not yet known.
Yeah.
So we can't really say how competitive it is. And then the big one for a lot of people is going to be the carrier, which is Sprint.
Right.
Sprint's CEO came out during the thing and assured everybody that they have the best network, but a lot of people, depending on where you are, you get different results. So it's going to really depend on your area. Is Sprint good in your area? I don't know. In download tests, they've always seemed to do well. Their network seems pretty good. The first version of the Pre is going to be an EVDO phone. The second version will be a 3G. So they're actually not starting with 3G.
Yeah.
But which is another bummer. But I mean, besides those couple of little downsides, it just looks awesome. I don't know. I'm very excited to get my hands on it and actually use it. This is an OS designed from the ground up, rather than ripping off the iPhone. Start from scratch. A lot of people are saying this is what Palm needs to get back in the game.
Yeah, and I think that's why this is the biggest story. I mean, a lot of people are probably scratching their heads right now who didn't watch the coverage. Like, all right, so that other stuff you said before was really cool. Why is this better than a watch phone or one with a projector? And it's like, well, because this is Palm coming back. Palm has kind of gone to the wayside, especially with the iPhone. With the G1 from Google coming out. A lot of this smartphone stuff has been going on, and Palm has just been slowly losing ground. And this is kind of Palm, like, their big, like, punch back at the system.
And it's not like I want to see Apple, get knocked or anything. That isn't it. It's just that competition is great, and there should be other ideas. It shouldn't only be Apple with the great phone. There should be other great ideas, and if Palm has it, then I want to try that, So
yeah. It is worth mentioning that this does have a app store. It's actually called the App Catalog, which is it's a big thing for people.
And it uses the Amazon MP3 store for its music, which is super nice.
Yeah. I mean, I still wish it was kind of like Rhapsody or something subscription.
No, exactly. That hasn't happened yet.
But if anything, my personal feelings is that this, when I was watching it, this really shows how the iPhone didn't get everything right. You know, right. I think that's the one thing, is that like so many times you'll be using a phone at Verizon or something. You're like, okay, checking out the LG Dare or whatever, and you're like, well, this is cool, but it's not living up to the iPhone. You know, I think this is the Palm Pre is the first phone where people are going to be using their iPhones and saying, well, this is cool, but it's no Palm Pre. You know, like the little gesture area, like the big thing about that is that now there's one-handed use of the phone, which is important to a lot of people, and that like a lot of the stuff with the iPhone, you need to hold it in one hand and use the other hand to navigate it. They've done a great job. They really have. They've outdone themselves, and they maybe seem to have outdone Apple.
Which is fair game, because that's exactly what Apple did with all of the phones before it. Was it had the luxury of looking at the failures of 6 generations of smartphones or whatever, and saying, okay, what do they all do wrong, and now let's do that better. And now here's Palm saying, what does the iPhone do wrong, and let's do that better. That's what people are saying. Again, the hype level in here is huge now, so we got to kind of calm down.
Yeah.
And so I guess we can do that by ending. We got to wrap up the show here, but I will end with a callback to last year's CES 2008. When we covered that, we talked about Wowee, which was a company that had a Elvis robot, if you remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of weird stuff this year at CES, but this I just had to throw out at the end. They had a Tribot this year, which has 3 wheels instead of legs, hence the Tri.
Uh-huh.
And basically, as far as I can tell, all this thing does is screams and yells.
Well, okay then. Why wouldn't we want a 3-wheeled robot to just scream and yell at us all day?
There is no reason.
There is no reason to deny this. Let us go purchase one.
So that is our main topic this week, CES 2009. If you... Hang on one second. Computing.
Abort, retry, fail.
If you grew up geek like us and you have a topic that you think we should discuss, hit up our website at www.growing-up-geek.com. Leave us a comment or an email, and we'd love to hear from you. So that's going to wrap it up for this week. Once again, I am Brad.
I don't know. Insert Dick Tracy reference here.
And we'll see you next week.